Yes, it is I, Tentus Naravan Dracovin, Lord and Emperor of the Dracovin Empire, and welcome. It's time to continue my discussion of the lands, legends, planes, and planeswalkers of Magic the Gathering, where I take one of these subjects and I describe everything you want to know about them, from history to setup to every part of their description, that you can understand them more, and therefore understand the world of Magic a little more. Today is going to be an interesting one, because I'm considering this a land, but it really isn't. We talked a little bit about the plane of Ravnica before. We talked about the guilds of Ravnica and that they exist. The guilds are the closest things to lands that Ravnica has, because it is a city plane. So we're going to talk about one of the guilds of Ravnica today, counting it as a land. Today I want to talk about the Cult of Rakdos. Now, the Cult of Rakdos is black and red aligned, if you want to look at the colors of mana related to it. Its Perun, or founder, and its guild leader is Rakdos himself, a very powerful demon. Their guild hall is Rix Marija, which is this location that is basically in the Undercity, underneath this massive mountain, where Rakdos' lava pool, which he normally slumbers within, exists. If he's not slumbering there, he's most likely awake and doing something terrible. But if he's asleep, which he does often, he's down in his lava pool. Now, members of this demon-worshipping guild are referred to as cultists. They basically are masters of service. They're masters of the service industries, and this would mean, of course, things like assassinations count as a service, or entertainment, which is a little more amicable, count as a service. So they have their sort of darker side service and labor, and the upper side. Effectively, what had happened was the guild pack assigned them the tasks of being the manual laborers of this place. Some of those laborers could be, those terrible assassinations. And the other side of that, of course, is the service industry, which ranges from catering to entertainment to things like running the nightclubs there. So they're in charge of the entertainment industry there also. So if there's some kind of entertainment you're looking for, Rakdos has it. And the members are well-known utilitarianists or hedonists, is a good way of describing them. They seek personal pleasure above all, even if it means causing harm, or either like physical or psychological, to another being or to themselves. There are specifically cruel members who will cause physical pain and death to others for their own pleasure in a way. They're willing to do that. So there are some terrible members which kind of give them a bad reputation anyway, amongst the bad reputation they already have. Now, when Rakdos is awake, he is the center of attention amongst everything else. He is the center of the guild, and all flock to him. When he's asleep, though, there's acting guild masters that basically act in his stead, that sort of they rotate through. The thing is, Rakdos, the cult of it doesn't have great organization. The cult of Rakdos they aren't well organized at all. They do their job, and they sort of look to Rakdos when he shows up, but they're organized mostly into these smaller groups called rings. Each of them has a ring master, basically a leader with their own influence, resources, and servants, and cultists. So you can see that they've got these smaller groups which each sort of function slightly independently and, generally speaking, go to the entire guild itself, especially Rakdos. It's kind of like when the big guy wakes up, he gets everybody in line just because it's Rakdos. Now, in the original Ravnica block, we did see a bunch of storyline related to Rakdos during this time, the cult of it. We saw that Rakdos himself was asleep during this time, and the acting guild master, a blood witch called Isolda, decided to basically force him to wake up. She managed to do that, and Rakdos began to basically rampage. He kind of got pissed off, and just started destroying everything. He ended up eventually encountering Project Krav, and Project Krav managed to defeat him and effectively absorb Rakdos in. At the end of everything that occurred, though, Rakdos' comatose body was thrown back into his lava pool by one of the Boros Angels' feather. We really didn't know if Rakdos survived or not at this point in time. Of course, with the dissolution of the guild pack at the time and sort of the reforming of one on paper, we did see that the cult of Rakdos itself did manage to survive. They're a cult. They worship demons. Rakdos, they didn't expect that he was dead or defeated, so they stuck with him. The result, though, of this entire thing is that Isolda, her followers saw her weakness for this defeat. they descended upon her and devoured her alive. Yay, Rakdos. Now when we come to the Return to Ravnica block, Rakdos returned. He was alive. Yay! So we did see the return of Rakdos. We didn't see any major storylines related to them, but we do know that they did have one of their representatives, their guild champion, Ixava, would run the guild maze, the great maze with all the other maze runners. So we did see that Rakdos, the cult, the guild, did participate in this. So when we talk about Rakdos, we do want to mention the two mechanics, actual keywords that are associated with them. First off is Hellbent. Hellbent effectively is this status-based keyword. Hellbent only activates when the controller of the card with Hellbent, that is, basically has no cards in their hand. So if I have no cards in my hand, anything that I have with Hellbent activates its Hellbent. So basically it's a switch. It's either on or off for Hellbent, and it would get some kind of bonus when this would occur. The other one is Unleash. If you use basically Unleash is a come into play effect that you can choose to activate as a player, a come into play keyword. I could play a creature with Unleash and choose not to activate it. Or I could choose to activate that Unleash. When I unleash something, it comes into play with a +1/+1 counter, but cannot block. So you can see what this is here. If I unleashed it, it's bigger, but can't block. Or if I wanted to actually block, I would put it into play without Unleash. So that's it for today. I introduced you to the Cult of Rakdos, the Guild of Rakdos from Ravnica. They control certain areas of the city. They're masters of the menial labor, which does mean that they do some more horrible, darker things, but it also means they're also masters of the entertainment industry. They put on shows and circuses. From the kind of feeling of Rakdos, if you would look at some of their cards, those shows can lead to deaths, not only of the audience, but of themselves. It's a great show. They're masters of entertainment, but, things happen. So you can see how the Rakdos themselves are very interesting, this juxtaposition. Each of them believing in their own personal pleasure amongst all. At the top of this chain, the demon Rakdos himself, the founder of this cult, these cultists who worship him, and also their great and powerful guild leader, who was thought dead for a while, but you can't keep a good demon down. Anyway, if you have any questions, comments, anything you want to say, anything you think I left out, please leave in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. It's just for the channel, the empire, the work I do. If you want to show some extra support, you could always check out my Patreon, link in the description below. If you want to show some other great Magic the Gathering content, I can recommend my Friends of the Multiverse. Card Bazaar, They Said We Said, and Tasty Snackies. They do some great Magic the Gathering content. I definitely would recommend checking them out. But until the next time, I bid you farewell.